Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight was. And what a beautiful day. So I am so grateful for the beautiful weather, even when it rains. So anyway, I love you so much. And I know there's going to be an echo in this room, but I gonna make this happen today. So this is my first time in this room speaking, using this room. So anyway, here we go. Is thank you to all of you. Yes, you, all of you, and especially you and you and you. And thank you for all of you that have been here, loving and supporting Starlight, watching my videos, giving me thumbs up, or leaving me a comment down below. Beep, beep, beep. And also those of you who share my videos. If you want to see a change in the world, we need each other to make this happen. I can't do it all on my own, and that person can't do it. That's why we need each other to make a difference in the world. And that difference starts with us doing the inner work. Not that we are perfect, believe me. That's not what it's about. It's about taking action and doing something today that your future self will thank you for. And that being said, so thank you for all of you being here. And also, if anybody would love to send any love donations, you can through my Cash App, and I will have that information here. Ding! There it is. And also, before I start this message for today, hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't forget the notification bell, and you can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and you can share my videos with your family or friends. Plus, don't forget my playlist, and you can also find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. So today it's use it before you lose it. You got to use it before you lose it. What are we talking about, Starlight? I know the title is out there, is use it before you lose it. Is because there's a lot going on in the world with the news, and I've been making videos, really going with the flow with what is going on out there as far as YouTube goes, or the news, and what's going on in people's lives. So before I start this video, my heart goes out to all the people that lost their lives for, the truth, using their voice out in the world. It's a shame that these people lost their lives to stick their neck out to, research all these things that they've been, all the years that they put in on this. And so my heart goes out to all the families, that lost a loved one, and for people out there being brave enough to even go out and do what they were doing. And even a long while back, there's a man that, he was out, out in public using his voice and got shot, and that should not happen. And that's why you better use it before you lose it. And that is the freedom of speech. And I tell you what, that was the only video that got deleted on my YouTube channel during COVID time. Is, I made a video about, using your voice. There's going to be a lot of people out in the world that they're not using their voice. But then they sit back and they complain about all the things that are going on in the world. But you know what? Sitting back and just complaining about things is not going to make any difference in the world. We need people like myself, my mentor, Teal Swine. I'm trying to think. There's other people, Billy Carson. There's people out there that are putting videos out, content out of things that they're learning. Different. There's a whole bunch of YouTube creators out there, and we ought to be really grateful for those people, because we can't always count on the news. We can't always count on what they tell us, and that is what we really, my YouTube channel has been, because it's standing up to the plate for the future of the kids. We need to turn this around for the kids, for the future. because they're not going to have a future. The way things are going on in society and the world and technology and robots and this and that, the kids have a lot to face, and they are the targets. So they need people like myself and, my mentor and all these other people, to stand up to the plate and put your neck out there, because you know what? Things don't happen without, sacrifices happen. There's people that, look at all the things that Jesus did. He lost his life, and look at the change that has happened, because God has had his son here, and all the things that Jesus taught us, is that had a big, huge impact on the whole entire world in one way or another. So we need to use their voices now. And I know, hey Starlight, didn't you hear the stuff that's going on? Yeah, but you know what? That's exactly what they want. They want us to stop. They want us to be afraid. And then, you know what? I rather be a voice and stick my neck out on the line and at least do something than sit back and just watch everything and not do a thing. I'd rather use my voice while we have the freedoms that we have and say, you know what? At least I did something. I didn't just sit back and watch everybody else do it. I went out and I did it. And it doesn't mean that I have to be perfect at doing what I do. I'm putting my true life stories on my YouTube channel. Whether people think it's crazy, whether they understand it, you might not understand these things right now. But in time, as we go through each day, right now is the present moment, but in the future, you're gonna realize Starlight wasn't crazy. I thought that Starlight chick was crazy, but you know what? As crazy as it sounded, all the stories that I've told you, the true stories, my body is like, I'm feeling my chakras right now, because it was hard for me to go through what I went through. My spiritual awakenings, my daughter's gone through some crazy ass shit. We're not the only ones. There's a whole bunch of people out in the world, but a lot of people, they've been lied to by the doctors. They've been lied to from the hospitals. They've been lied to. A lot of these people, so, whether the doctors really understand really what's going on or not, a lot of these people have been misdiagnosed. A lot of the doctors couldn't even agree. Like in my case, they couldn't even agree to how to diagnose me. Not to understand that I'm going through a spiritual awakening. God woke my ass up to, and I was thinking about this today. How did I get there? You know what? My whole life I knew this world was screwed up. At a very young age, I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. No matter what I did, nothing went right. No matter how hard. I even went to church. I gave it all. And that was even messed up, going into a cult church. So I knew my whole life something did not make sense in this life, in this reality. So when I was learning about my Bible, is that, it says that there's things in the Bible that, there was secrets, there was things hidden. And I asked God, I was like, God, I want to know the truth. Have you ever seeked the truth? I'll tell you what, when you ask God, please show me the truth. Show me why I can't make sense. How is this an illusion? I did this for freaking years. When you really hunger to know the truth, I'll tell you what, put your seatbelt on. Put your freaking seatbelt on, because you know what? You're gonna go for, a heck of a ride. What is it? Something about Dorothy, buckle up, Dorothy, you're going for a ride. I am so serious. The truth will piss you off, but it will set you free. Would you want to live your whole life a lie and not even be concerned about what the truth really is? So you got to use your voice now. If you got something, a lot of people, whether it was suicide, whether, somebody came after them and ended their life, we can't imagine if everybody's like, all the creators on YouTube decided, heard all these deaths and scratching your head trying to figure out what happened to, Wilcock, David Wilcock, what happened to all these, imagine that, we all just tuck our tails in and just run away and never even, be it. That's exactly what they want. They want to put fear out there so, it scares people. So then they're like, should I, are they watching my YouTube channel? Are they going to do something to me? Like I said in yesterday's video, if any, whoever watched that, is if you've already been being followed and stalked and watched and people coming up to you, I've had all kinds of crazy stuff from the very beginning when I started my YouTube channel all the way through, on and off, but I am protected. That's the thing, is I am protected. And that's why you got to protect your energy around people, around low frequency vibrations. That's why it's so important to keep praying every day that God will help you out. The universe, I prayed to Archangel Michael, please help me to let go of fear. Help me to, face my fears. Doing I am affirmations. I am not afraid. And you got to believe this, and you got to do these things like that. I am not afraid, like 3 times each. I am facing my fears, because that force that we're dealing with, the spiritual warfare that we're in, they don't want people to wake up. They want to control as many people as they can in the whole earth, because that's how they really want us to turn us into a bunch of robots. And if you look around with people with their headsets everywhere, people, on their phone everywhere they're going, this is ways that they're gonna, get people so tapped into the technology, they're escaping reality. They're zoning out somewhere and, in their own head. And they're not even, they might not even want to connect with people, and it's a very dangerous thing out there, what's going on. And teenagers, I got a grandson, I got 2 grandsons, but the one is little, he's just starting out in school. My other one is 15 years old. I started my YouTube channel because I have grandkids. It's not about me, it's not about the money, because I've been doing this for years. And my channel's, it's growing. And words are very powerful. So we gotta use our voice. We can't back out now, because that's exactly why these things happen out in the world. Is even like with the Hollywood stars, they go through the same stuff, but it's different. Most of them sold their soul. And so when some of those Hollywood stars start speaking up, they get people that rat on them for speaking up. They spread that around like a virus, and tell on each other, hey, did you know so-and-so is running their mouth, telling the truth about really what's going on in his life, So those people go through it, where they live in fear, and they're like, they signed that contract for who knows how many years, just like the teenagers signing that contract to join the military, is that we need to use our voices about the things that are not right in the world, and say, hey, what? I'm not just out here bringing up low vibrational information. There's things that we can do about this. There's some people, that I've met, not very many, they don't want to hear about any negative stuff. Hey, if you got anything negative on your YouTube channel, I won't even, I'll be gone. Well, guess what? We don't live in a world where everything is positive and, bunch of flowers and roses all the time. Shit happens out in the world. We can't ignore it, It's like, having some kind of health problem and saying, hey, it's a negative thing. I don't want to focus on that. And then my health goes down the tubes because I'm not I'm not saying, hey, how can I fix this problem? No, that's crazy. It's crazy. We gotta, this is why coming together, that's why they wanted to separate us. We need to come together. You got a story, I got a story, he's got a story, she's got a story. That's why it's so important to come together, I'd rather lose my life doing something, helping out, than sitting back doing shit and expecting something to happen. If we all, took our own stories that we have, our own experiences, and wasn't afraid of what people were going to think, we'd outnumber that force out there. They'd be like, holy shit, they're all out there now talking, they're all like, and this is what they don't want. They don't want us all to wake up and really see what's going on. They want us to be blinded by the lies that they fed us. It's something, because when those lies spread out, our families get told lies. We can talk to our families and tell them the truth of really what's going on in your own real life, and they won't even believe it, because they have been programmed. They've been locked into the system, and they believe it. And they can get free, but they gotta understand that all that shit is not real. And you gotta, we can't ignore what's going on, because nothing gets fixed. Nothing changes if we just ignore it. And that's why it's great that there's people out there on YouTube that, we need this. Because if we were just listened to, before technology came out with computers and all this stuff, the only resource that we'd have is what the news people tell us. It was actually a blessing in disguise. Actually, it depends on how you use technology. Some people, they don't do nothing with technology. I was one of those people that didn't want nothing to do with a computer or a cell phone. But we can use it for good. We can use it to help people to wake up. We can use it to help people to understand that there's shit going on in a hospital. You might have a family member that's going through some stuff and not understanding how come they're still screwed up after so many years. Well, there's people like myself that's been in hospitals that witness things that's truly seriously going on behind in the hospitals with the doctors, the nurses, even therapists. They're all in on it, Now, if they actually quit their job and left and said, screw this, it takes a lot for a person to walk away from a business that, is corrupt. We all have a free will. We have a free will to stay with that system that's corrupt and be a part of it. But yeah, I tell you what, those people that they know that this is wrong, they gotta sit in their own pew. They gotta live with that every day of their life, knowing that they are doing it for the wrong. They see all this shit going on. God gave you a free will. Anybody is going to be judged by God, whether they did something about it or just sat there and just was a part of it. So, anytime I've had a job, if there was something not right, I'm out of there, and, it might have took me some time, some beatings, but I even when I went to church, I had a free will. I could sit there and, be like all those people that were beating little kids up with rods, pointing fingers at everybody out in the world and acting like they were perfect. No, I'm like, no, I'm walking out of here. It took me 7 years, but I got free. It wasn't easy. So those people out there, like the news people, there's people out there, they believe it. And it's not even true. A lot of the Hollywood stars know this shit, but they can't tell anybody. And if they do, you might not even see them around anymore. So what does that mean? Do we just say we don't say shit? And we just go on our merry way? Well, that's exactly what these people want. They want us to get scared. They want people to, kind of think twice before they speak on a YouTube video, because they purposely do these things, because there's YouTubers out there that they hear this stuff and then they're going to make a video, but it's going to go into them in their minds, and when they're when they read it, when they hear the news, they're going to be thinking, oh my, what did they say? Why, what happened to this person? They're going to investigate all these cases of why these people are disappearing, missing, dead. Is it all because they're all suicide? I doubt it. You got to really, so please support the people out there. Be grateful that we have these people on YouTube that are out there making videos and helping people to change, be the change that they, what we need to see in the world, or become their greatest version, or help people to, all kinds of videos out there that people are putting out and saying the truth of this and the truth of that. Be grateful that we have people out there, that are out there sticking their necks out, and not to be afraid. Because if you're with God, there's so many things in the Bible at times, people snap out of it. I had a lady doing this to me not too long ago, snapping at me, snap. So snap out of it. We need to wake up. We need to snap out of the lies and, and our old programming and, thinking that it is what it is. Things are going to be happening later on. We got to face that. But, we got to use our voice while we have this freedom of speech that we have today, because eventually that's what they're going to do. They're going to take that away because they don't want it. They want to shut us out. And, so I am so proud of all the people out there. I have even people that are into different things. A guy that, one of my tarot card readers, I love him because you know what? He's himself. I love his character. He makes me laugh. But he does astrology, and he was putting together what happened to this man as far as, did he kill himself? Did the cops kill him before he got there? What is up with this? And he did an astrology chart and explained the whole thing and all this stuff. It's amazing the tools that people have and the things that people know. So I did watch that video yesterday. I was like, wow, that is really amazing what they can do. They can actually solve a case just by astrology, So anyway, I love you so much, is that, this is not the time to back out. And if you were thinking about starting a YouTube channel and now you're thinking, is that we need a fear. It says in the Bible, I was thinking of this today, God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of a sound mind. So think about that, because the more you trust in God, that you were protected, the fear goes away. We can't be afraid and just say, hey, I'm just gonna, if everybody just caved in and said, forget it, I'm not gonna have a YouTube channel, I'm not gonna do, you know what? Boom. What a mess. What a mess. I just couldn't even imagine just listening to the news all the time and that's all there is. I'm grateful that there's people out there that are sticking their neck out and that they're using their voice, because there's a whole lot of people out there, they ain't doing nothing. And we need everybody. We need, there's a lady that I met not too long ago, she goes, I want to do what you're doing. And I go, you can. You can do it. It doesn't happen overnight. I got so much to learn, and it's okay. It's a slow process. It's okay. It's not about being perfect, and it's not about a whole bunch of views. It's about what the person's talking about. It's not about the thumbnail. It's not about the title. It's about the message. It's not about me. It's about what I'm talking about. That's what it's about. So many people, they think it's about the views and how many subscribers they got. No, it's about the message. That's what it's all about. It's about the heart. It's about people that care, that they put their necks out there to speak and not care about what other people think. We need people. We wouldn't even, all the people in history that spoke up. Martin Luther King spoke up. There's a whole bunch of people that spoke up, made changes, women's rights, the women, imagine if nobody ever spoke up, what our reality would be like. That's why it's so important. If I died out of, went out of here for doing something, at least I did something. And that's what about, so I'm so proud of all the people, even though they lost their life, they were out there doing something. So anyway, I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight, love, light, and peace. Thank you for watching. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight, love, light, and peace.